Well, you got about a minute before we start this month's webinar, and I just want to thank you, those of you who have joined us for this. We've had over 250 people sign up for today's webinar, and I just want to tell you that I respect you for your commitment to wanting to improve your life. Improvement's not easy. Because it takes a lot of desire, it takes a lot of determination, and it takes a lot of discipline. And with those three as a foundation, you can always find the pathway to improvement. So we got about 2 seconds now. It's 10 o'clock, and Richard Flint here, and I want to thank you for joining me today for our monthly webinar. You know, here's a fact. Life will always present you with events and situations. Sometimes we wonder why they're happening, but I really think and I really believe that with each of the events and situations, there's a purpose to them. And we can either look at them and dismiss them or run away from them, or we can slow down, take a deep breath, and try to understand, seek to understand why they're a part of our life. Because I believe that these situations and events that come to your life are really a test to your commitment to your success. They're going to test your belief in you. They're going to test the trust that you have in yourself. And they're going to trust and they're going to test the faith you have in yourself. So don't ever look at a situation or an event without understanding there's a purpose to that. And I have found over the years that the ability to handle the situations, the challenges, the struggles of life is your commitment to being consistent with the growth factors in your life. Over the years, and you know that I'm a student of human behavior, and over the years that I have found that there are really three major behaviors that can hold you hostage when it comes to your success journey. Procrastination. Now, a few months ago, we talked about, on one of our webinars, we talked about breaking the procrastination habit. There's also, the second one is time mismanagement. And this is what we're going to talk about in our September webinar. We're going to talk about becoming efficient. One of the things you have to learn in life is that you'll never be effective if you're not efficient. And efficiency becomes a very important part of your success journey. And then the third one of these that I find that we struggle with so many different times is that concept of organization. Now, if you're typical, you struggle with organization. And so today we want to focus on achieving organization. When you are disorganized, what do? You tend to procrastinate. They work together. When you're disorganized, you tend to mismanage your time. They work together. I have found that when you have one, you're going to have the other two. If you procrastinate, you're going to struggle with time. You're going to struggle with organization. If you mismanage your time, you're going to struggle with procrastination. You're going to struggle with disorganization. And if you're disorganized, you're going to struggle with time and procrastination. You know that I believe that everything operates in threes. And when you put these three together, procrastination, time mismanagement, and disorganization, you create a very self-destructive process when it comes to you achieving success. So here's our thought. People who are organized not only demonstrate they value their time, but they have more of it. We all have the same 24 hours every day. But our time effectiveness, our ability to succeed, our ability to keep our life moving forward, our ability to control our success journey means that we have to be organized in order to be more productive and efficient with our time. And yeah, we all have 24 hours, but how do we use it? How much time do you use procrastinating? How much energy do you expend being disorganized? How wasteful are you when it comes to what you do with your time? So we're going to concentrate on this concept of organization. And people who are organized not only demonstrate they value their time. And what does value mean? It means they invest their time in doing what they need to do to complete what needs to be completed. And when you do that, what happens? You actually have more positive time. So here's some terms we've got to put in front of us. Organized. The behavior. Because understand, organization is a behavior. It's more than a word. It's more than a thought. It is a behavior. So organized is the behavior of completing things before they take on an emotional life that results in stacks of clutter. See, I think that if you are disorganized, it forces you to procrastinate. And when you procrastinate, what do? You create stacks. Now, every time you look at that stack of things you know you need to get to, what do? You waste time. And when you and I are not organized, we clutter our life with incomplete things. So disorganization, having stacks of stuff. Now, stop for a moment, look around your life. If you look to the right and to the left, if you look in front of you and you look behind you, if you look on the floor, do you have any stacks of stuff that need your attention? And if you do, what's your reason for not taking the time to deal with those stacks? This is why this definition is so important. Having stacks that need your attention, but having a reason. See, I have to have a reason to procrastinate. I have to have a reason to be disorganized. I have to have a reason to waste my time. So disorganized is having stacks of stuff that need your attention. But you, no one else, but you having a reason why you don't have time to deal with those stacks right now. So that puts this word in front of us, mess. Look at our definition. Stacks on top of stacks, which are on top of stacks, which are on top of stacks. You see, and when you're disorganized, many times you don't know where to start. So if I don't know where to start, is it possible that I will bring procrastination into the picture? Is it possible that I will waste time just sitting there looking at the stacks and not knowing which stack to start with? Folks, that's the definition of a mess. Avoidance. The choice. Everything in life is a choice. The choice to not deal with those things you know you need to do to keep your life moving forward. Now, look at those stacks. Look in front of you, behind you, around you, on the floor. And have you given yourself a reason to avoid dealing with those stacks? Because when you give yourself a reason to avoid, you strengthen procrastination, you strengthen disorganization, and you waste more time. So what about clutter? Stacks that need your attention, but you have chosen to just stare at them through the eyes of good intention. You ever done this? Man, I need to deal with this. And you know what? I'm going to put this on my to-do list to take care of. But can a to-do list just become a lie? You put it on there so that you don't feel guilty just sitting there staring at the stack that's in front of you. So what happens? As the stack grows, you clutter your life. And then what happens? Your mind gets cluttered. It looks at all this stuff that needs your attention. You keep talking about that you're going to do something about it, but you never do anything about it. So all you do is you make your life more dysfunctional. And the greater the clutter, the greater your frustration. The greater the clutter, the greater your disappointment in yourself. The greater the clutter, the more ineffective you become with your life. So, fact, disorganization is a thief. It steals. So the question is, what does disorganization steal from you? See if you deal with any of these. Stability. How can you be stable when all around your life there's these stacks that just keep reaching out to you to do something about them, and you're so frustrated or you're so confused, there's no stability in your life. And the more I lack stability, the more I give myself permission to procrastinate. The more I give myself permission to be disorganized, the more time I waste. What does it steal? Time. Every time a minute goes by, it's a minute you never get back. Every time you sit and stare at the stacks, you punish and torture yourself, because the time you're using to stare, you're never going to get back. It steals energy. I'll tell you, you can't be disorganized without having an energy drain. Why? Because your mind wants to complete things. Your mind wants you to move forward. And your mind is positive about getting things done. So when I sit there and just stare, I'm costing myself positive energy, and I'm replacing it with negative energy every time I have a reason why I can't or I won't or I intend to. Every time I have those reasons, that takes positive energy out of me and replaces it with negative energy. You've been there, you've done that, you've experienced it. It steals attitude. You know what happens? When you're disorganized, you get down on yourself. You know what happens? Every time you're disorganized, you walk by things and emotionally you feel what you need to do, but you keep giving yourself permission not to do it. What does it steal? Life. Do you think that when you and I are disorganized, when we're not doing what we know we need to do to keep our life moving forward, that it steals life from us? Because what is life? It's the time you have from the day you're born to the day you die to fill with behavior. And every time I resist doing what I know I need to do, every time I procrastinate, every time I waste time, every time that I am disorganized, I steal life from me, because the time that goes back, you cannot get back. Now, I have found there are 3 reasons you don't do what you know you need to do. 3 reasons. See if any of these 3 are true about you. You don't know how to do it. There are times that you're going to come face to face in life. And there are going to be times that there are things you need to do. You know you need to do it, but the reality is you don't do it. Because you tell yourself, I don't know how to do that, which creates our second reason. You need help, but you won't ask for it. I'm amazed at how many people believe, you know, if I ask for this, the people are going to look at me like I'm stupid, or like I don't know what I'm doing. Folks, when you don't know what you need to do and you need to do it, there are people around your life who can give you input, insights, and information on how to do it. Why procrastinate? Why steal life from yourself? Why let the stacks grow when there are people who can help you if you just reach out for help? But maybe the third reason is the most honest reason. You don't want to do it. You know how many people I meet who are in a world that's driven by information? It's driven by details. It's driven by the need to complete. And they just make the choice not to do it. Had a guy tell me the other day, you know what? I'm just not a detail person. Well, what he's saying to me is I don't want to do the things I need to do. So if you don't want to do it, be honest with yourself. And if it's something that has to be done, reach out to someone who can help you do it. Because I promise you, if you don't want to do it, you will find a reason to not do it. What does that do? It creates stacks. What do the stacks do? They create clutter. What does clutter do? It keeps you on an emotional slide. And all you're doing is wasting your life because you choose to be disorganized. Now, I think it's important to remember, disorganization doesn't choose you. You choose to be disorganized. How many times have you looked at something in front of you? It needed your attention. It needed your time. You looked at it. You knew it needed to be done. But you chose not to do anything with it. You chose to be disorganized. You chose to waste time. You chose to procrastinate. You chose to become your own enemy. Because disorganization makes you an enemy to yourself, because you don't have to be disorganized. It's a choice. Disorganization doesn't choose you. You choose to be disorganized. So, let's gather a picture of organization. I'm going to say to you that organization is a process. It's a process of getting things done before whatever that is takes on an emotional life of its own. Every time I procrastinate with what I know I need to do, I give myself permission to be disorganized. Every time I give myself permission to be disorganized, I give myself permission to waste time. Organization is simply a process. So, contains what? Layers of doubt. If questions that leave you paralyzed. Fear that overshadows your imagination. Exhaustion, which makes you want to do nothing. Any of that sound familiar? Any of you ever faced these emotional issues, these emotional times, these emotional decisions. And as you looked at them, this was the result. You doubt yourself. You keep creating if questions, and you can't answer an if question except with another if question. And when that happens, what do? That doubt creates fear. That fear can overshadow your imagination, what shuts down your creative sight. And if I got these first three, then I'm going to be exhausted because I know I need to do something, but I give myself permission not to do it. I give myself permission. I choose to be disorganized, and that disorganization steals life from me. So look at that with me and take this seriously. What's involved in this process of achieving organization? And our key word here is process. Every process has a purpose. Every process creates an order in which we need to move forward with. So, involved in this process of achieving organization are these factors. Preparation. If you start before you're prepared, what are you doing? You're just working against yourself. So what does preparation do? It clears the path of hurdles that are the result of starting before you're ready. I watch people do this all the time. I need to get this done. So they jump in and they attack it. They don't address it. And when you attack it, you're not prepared for it. When you're prepared, you can bring the process of preparation and address what needs to be done. What's involved? Research. If you don't have the right information, how are you going to make the right decisions? Without research, everything I do is a guess. But if I do my research with the right information, you won't have to backtrack and find yourself frustrated. How many times have you started something, you didn't do your research, you got to a point of decision, and you didn't have the information that you needed, all because you got in a hurry to get something done, and you didn't take the time to prepare by doing your research. What's involved? Order. Order creates the pathway of clarity your mind will follow from beginning to completion. So when I'm prepared, I have a mind, I have a journey in my head, I have a path I'm going to travel, I have order to how I'm going to do this. And I bring to that order my research, which then gives me a clearer picture of what I need to do in order to complete what I've started. What's involved? Clarity about the action needed. With clarity, you will be able to see what needs to be done and use the research that you've done. You see, when I'm prepared, I've slowed my mind down. When I've done my research, I've taken away some of the doubt and confusion. And when I bring order to this, now I'm at a pace that I can implement and go forward. When I'm at the right pace, because I've done my preparation, I've done my research, I have my order, what's going to happen? I'm going to be clear about what needs to be done. And I'm going to be ready. What's involved? Emotional commitment. This is critical. When your emotions understand what needs to be done, they will provide you the emotional support your mind needs to complete. You see, this emotional commitment is all about, I will do this. This emotional commitment says, I am not going to procrastinate. I am not going to waste time. I am not going to sit here and let my life pass me by because I choose to be disorganized. I know I need to do this. I'm prepared. I've done my research. I have the order to it. I'm ready. So you align your emotions with your mind's desire to complete what you start. then you don't procrastinate. Then you don't let disorganization make you dysfunctional. Then you don't waste time. What's involved? Strength to withstand the negative attacks. You know this as well as I do. Getting from A to Z is not a straight line. If it was, life would be very simple. Getting from A to Z is not a straight line. There are going to be challenges along the way that you must be strong enough to repel. You get started and all of a sudden you run into a wall. All of a sudden you get to the place where you need a little more information. And rather than just throwing up your hands and quitting, what do? You understand, for me to complete this, I may need to step backwards for a moment. I may need to be better prepared. I may need to go back and do some research. I may need to restructure this order so that I can be clear on what I need to do. Life is not a straight line. It has curves. It has hills. It has potholes. It has all these different things that you're going to have to deal with. And that's why the process is so important. Seeking guidance. And I can tell you, this is true about me. As good as you may be, and as knowledgeable as you are, I promise you something. There will be times when you will feel stumped. You know something needs to be done, but you can't figure it out. At those moments, you need a support system. Now, that support system will slow you down emotionally and reframe your thinking. There are times that I have to reach out to people because I get to a place that I'm stumped. And the people I reach out to are not going to give me answers. They're going to ask me the right questions. Because if they give me the answer, I'm not sure what to do with it. But if they ask me the right question and I have to figure it out, then I can fit it into the process. I am not an island. I'm not, as much as I know and as good as I am not someone who doesn't find themselves stumped. But if I allow myself to stay stumped, what happens? I'm going to procrastinate. I'm not going to complete, which is going to make me disorganized. And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to waste time. Everybody needs a support group around their life. So, achieving organization. Is it something you need to do? Is it something you need to strengthen? Is it a struggle in your life to stay organized? Are you challenged with time because you're disorganized? Do you increase your procrastination because you are disorganized? I want to share with you what I think are the 9 steps to achieving organization. Now, let's go back to something we talked about in the process. Everything in life has an order. And what I found with a lot of people, because they're not patient and they don't have the right pace, they just want to run through. I've had people tell me, you don't need to tell me, I know what I need to do. So like a bull in a china shop, they just take off running. And what do? They trip over themselves. Order means there are steps that we need to follow. Order means that there is a process, there is a plan, there is a purpose to the action that we implement. So, 9 steps to achieving organization. Now remember, just as you have chosen to be disorganized, you can also choose to get yourself organized. It's your life. It's your choice. You're going to do with your life what you choose to do. You're either going to be a friend to yourself or an enemy to yourself. You're either going to make decisions and implement behaviors that take you forward, or you're going to implement behaviors that hold you hostage. It's your choice because it's your life. Organization is a behavior. All behavior has a design to it. So organization is a behavior designed to keep you moving forward. See, here's the danger with not moving forward. You step back into yesterday. Here's the danger with not having the right behaviors in your life. You give yourself permission to procrastinate. You give yourself permission to be disorganized. You give yourself permission to waste time. But if you've got the right behaviors in your life, and those behaviors are to use yesterday as a reference library, they're to stand in the now with your preparation, with your research, with your order, with yourself committed to completing what you start. Why? And you know the truth to this. You do exactly what you want to do when you want to do it. Isn't that true? If I want to procrastinate, I do it. If I want to be disorganized, I do it. If I want to waste time, I do it. You do exactly what you want to do when you want to do it. So, that makes you accountable for the design of your life. I'll tell you something. There's no one to blame if you choose to procrastinate. There's no one to blame if you choose to waste time. There's no one to blame if you choose to become dysfunctional because you're disorganized. This is your life. It is your choice. And you're going to do every day exactly what you want to do with your life. And those decisions are either going to strengthen you or they're going to steal from you. Those decisions are either going to prepare you to go forward or hold you a hostage to your yesterday. Those decisions are going to actually define who you are, what you want for your life, and what your commitment is. You know my three little words: behavior never lies. The essence of truth is not what you talk about doing. It's what you do. If you choose to procrastinate, you choose to be dysfunctional. If you choose to waste time, you choose to be dysfunctional. If you choose to be disorganized, you choose to be dysfunctional. This is your life, and you will do exactly what you want to do when you want to do it. Look at this. Anything you don't complete has continuation in your life. Here's the fact you need to remember. Your mind does not turn loose of anything until it's completed. You ever started something, you didn't complete it, and your mind comes back and says to you, when are we going to finish this? You look at a stack and your mind says, you need to do something about that. Because anything you don't complete has continuation in your life. Which means, what are you doing to your mind? You're just adding stacks. Because every time you choose to procrastinate, waste time, or be dysfunctional, your mind creates a stack with that which needs your attention. Now, do you think that can wear on you? Do you think that can frustrate you? Do you think that can hamper your success journey? Do you think that can turn you into the biggest enemy you have in your life? Why? Because it's your life, and you're going to do exactly with your life what you want to do. So, if you're ready, if you're willing, if organization is your desire, if it's your determination, if you're willing to discipline yourself to become a person who completes, not stacks, If you're a person who chooses to clean up the clutter, not let the clutter become a mess, then you need to look at these 9 steps. You need to be willing to slow down and see if these are steps you need to implement into your life. And they've got to be implemented in the order that I'm going to present them to you. If you try to change the steps, you weaken the process. It's not about how fast you're going to work through them. It's about how effective can you be in creating a better path for your life so that you have that clarity, you have that calmness, you have that confidence to keep your life moving forward. Because again, this is your life. And whatever you want to do with it, you are going to do with it. That's not a statement, that is a fact. 9 steps to achieving organization. Number 1, open yourself to accepting change. You know, change is not a happy word for a lot of people. But if I resist change, don't I give myself permission to procrastinate? If I resist change, can it cause me to waste time? If I resist change, can it make me disorganized? Accepting change is the first step to organizing your life. Why? Because when you accept change, you tell yourself, there are things I need to do to improve my life. When you accept change, the word redefines itself from change to improvement. Because when you accept change, you create a pathway to improvement. That's why it has to start here. You got to open yourself to accepting change. Here is who I am. Here's where that person is making me dysfunctional, and what behaviors do I need to improve in order to get me moving forward with my life. Step number 2. Refuse to create stacks of incomplete things. You ever done this? You ever taken an article of clothing off? And it would have been real simple to take that article of clothing and just put it on a hanger and hang it up, but you stack it on a chair. You ever had a newspaper and you're done with it, and rather than just throw it away, you create a stack of newspapers, periodicals. Every time you create a stack, you are dysfunctional. Clutter closes the door that leads to your imagination. Your mind can become overwhelmed with clutter. It can become overwhelmed with things that need attention that you just choose not to pay attention to, because you do with your life what you want to do. And every time you choose to create a stack of clutter, you shut off part of your creativeness. Clutter is a choice. It's a stack that you know needs attention, but you choose not to do it. Look around your life. Look at all the different corners of your life. How much clutter do you have in your life? Huh? And every stack of clutter makes you a little more mentally dysfunctional. Number 3, get a realistic time frame in place. You know, I'm going to get to this, most of the time is a lie. Good intentions are just a reason not to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Without a realistic time frame, you will find it easy to just keep moving things from one stack to another. You ever gone in and had a stack, and maybe you took something out of the stack and put it on top because I need to get to this first, and you get the stack all in order and you walk away. Rearranging is not completing. Moving things around is not completing. Giving yourself permission to stare is not completing. And with everything you want to achieve in your life, there's got to be a realistic timetable to it. Because if there is no timetable, I promise you, you will procrastinate. And if you procrastinate because you don't have a realistic timetable, you're going to be disorganized. And that's going to make you dysfunctional. And that's going to shut down the path to the success that there really is for your life. You got to get a realistic time frame in place. Number 4, always do your homework. Don't just jump in because it has to be done. You know, when we do this, and maybe you're this way, I come to you and I go, Richard, I got this project I need for you to take care of, and I'm going to give you 2 weeks to do it. And you go, 2 weeks. I can do that. I come back to you a week later and I go, hey, Richard, how you doing on that project? And you go, okay, because you tell yourself, you know what? I got a week. I come to you the day before it's due or the day it's due, and I go, Richard, how you doing on that project? And inside you go, oh my God, I didn't get it done. Now you don't have time to do your research. You don't have time to really be prepared. So what are you going to do? You're not going to address it with information. You're going to attack it with emotions. So if I attack it with emotions, is it going to get the best of me? Absolutely not. And do you understand that that's because when you had 2 weeks, you chose to be disorganized. You chose to push it over to the side. You chose to keep moving it down on your list of things until it became what? A crisis. And when there's a crisis, you react. When you have time, you respond. You need to have the time to do your homework. The lack of research will mean you will hit a dead end, which will stop you in your tracks. All of a sudden, now it's a crisis because he's waiting on me to get this done, and I don't have time to do what I need to do. I just got to throw it together. Isn't that being dysfunctional? Isn't that lying about your commitment to life and to getting things done? Disorganization is you giving yourself permission to procrastinate and waste time. Look at number 5. Narrow the scope of your focus. The bigger the picture, the more confusing it becomes. You see, sometimes you have all these stacks around you and you pick one thing off the stack, you put it in front of you, and you're going to work on this, but you hear the other stacks calling out to you. But what about me? What about me? I need attention too. And it's hard for you to maintain focus when all you see are all these other stacks that demand your time, demand your attention also. So when you can narrow the clutter, when you can bring organization into the picture, you remove confusion as to where to start. You remove the frustration of not knowing where to start. So to achieve organization, I've got to have the focus, the attention, the commitment to deal with what is in front of me so that I'm not hurrying through, but I'm giving it the attention it needs so that I can learn from this experience that will give me the experience next time to be better prepared. You see, when you're running too fast and you're running through all these situations, you're not really giving your time to prepare, because whatever that is going to come back. It may come back in different forms, but it's going to come back. But if I've been productive with it in the past, I now have a plan, a process of how to deal with this. But if I've run through it, I can't remember how to do what I did. And more than likely, I'm going to push it aside. Or I'm going to turn it into something that's not complete. I just finished it to get it off my plate. Number 6, imagination is open and emotions are slowed down. Folks, when you procrastinate, you increase emotions. When you waste time, you increase emotions. When you're disorganized, you increase emotions. And as I increase my emotions, I shut down my creativeness. You've heard me say this to you so many times. You either live from your emotions up or your mind down. One way or the other is always in charge. If I'm procrastinating, it's my emotions up. If I'm wasting time, it's my emotions up. If I'm disorganized, it's my emotions up. So I can't bring my best. Because clarity is your mind having the calmness to see what needs to be done, having the information to do it, and completing what you start and feeling good about what you've completed. I will promise you, you have finished things and you've told someone it's done and you haven't felt good about it because you know you rushed through it. You know you didn't pay attention to what was being done. You know you left it to the last minute and you took something that you had time to learn from and you turned it into a crisis. For you to achieve organization, your mind has to be open. It has to be allowed to see what is. It has to be allowed to see the pathway, put the process in plan. But that won't happen if I'm not organized. Number 7, zero in on what must be done. Every day you procrastinate, you steal time from yourself and from those who are depending on you to add to their clarity. I mean, you do a to-do list, but what you do is you put all these things on it. But have you ever looked at that and not be able to zero in on what needs to be done? This is why I tell you, you don't need to-do list, you need an achievement list. And you only put 3 things on that list. First on that list, something I have to get done. I've got to zero in on this because this is the priority. Second, something I need to get done. Once I finish with the have to, then I can look at the need to. And I can zero in on that. And then something I want to do. But if everything is a jumbled mess because you can't see the priority of what you need to take care of, you're going to become more and more dysfunctional. A to-do list can become overwhelming because there's so many things on it. Slow your life down. Find your priority, zero in on that priority, and make that what you complete. Number 8, expanding your personal self-trust. You see, the less you believe in you, the more you will doubt. When you doubt, you end up scattered. So if we go back to those 3 reasons why you don't do what you know you need to do, you don't know how, and we're all going to be there. You don't trust yourself to make a decision. When you live at a point where you won't ask for help, you know what happens? You just make yourself more dysfunctional because that attacks your belief, your trust, and your faith in you. And the fact you don't want to do it, that's just something to be honest about. And you need to tell yourself, I'm not going to lie to myself, I don't want to do this. So if it has to be done, How can I find help in understanding how to do it? Anything that needs to be done that isn't done not only punishes you, it punishes the people around you who are waiting for you to complete what you've started. Procrastination, time mismanagement, and disorganization is not just about you. It's about those people around you who need for you to step up. And then number 9, discipline. This is the core to everything in life. I can have the desire to get things done. I can be determined that today I'm going to do it, but if I don't have discipline, and what is discipline? It's keeping your feet nailed to the ground. It's investing time. It's doing your preparation. It's doing your research. It's knowing the process you've got to do to complete things, because if you don't complete, you create stacks. You know, for most people, this is one of the most challenging things that they have to do, discipline. You know why? Because many people don't enjoy where they are in their life. They don't enjoy their relationships they're in. So rather than being disciplined and working on them, they give themselves reasons to not deal with it. They don't enjoy the job they're doing. So every day they show up and they do a chore. They don't perform at their best. And they lack that discipline. Discipline is holding your feet to the fire. It's not allowing yourself to procrastinate. It's not allowing yourself to mismanage time. It's not allowing yourself to be disorganized. Why? Because you're going to do exactly with your life what you want to do. And you know that's true. Without discipline, you will live in a world of confusion. Do these 9 steps make sense to you? I hope you downloaded the study guide to this webinar. If you didn't, it's there. You need to download it. And I'm going to challenge you for the next week. Every day, take this study guide on achieving organization and just walk through it. Walk through it alone by yourself. Walk through it. Make it something that is not just an experience you've had because we spent, say, an hour together talking about achieving organization, but it's taken it to the deeper part of understanding I need to achieve organization in my life. I'm tired of being dysfunctional. I'm tired of being a mess. I'm tired of being cluttered with things that I just create stacks with. I want to be able to go forward. And to do this, you have got to become organized. When you achieve organization, you start investing time. When you achieve organization, you stop procrastinating. And you, my friend, it's your life. You're going to do with it what you want to do. Now, I'd like to share with you, before we come to the conclusion, 2 growth opportunities that I'd like to put in front of you. These are growth opportunities for you and I together. The first of these is my Star Maker conference next year, 2020. And it's hard for me to sit here and tell you, but this is going to be our 30th Star Maker. And by the way, it's also going to be our final one. When I started, I told myself that I would do this basically for 30 years. Next year will be 30 years. And this will be our final Star Maker. So many of you have told me, man, I really would like to attend one of your conferences, one of your Star Maker conferences. Well, 2020 is going to be your final chance. And my theme for 2020, because I can. I think this is such a powerful theme. Because I can. It's not something that I should do or something I think about doing or something I could do, but it's something that I will because I can. And this is about that foundation of belief that says I can. It's a foundation of trust that says I can. It's that foundation of faith that says I can step out into the unknown because I can. Our dates are July 17, 18, and 19, 2020. And remember, we only take 200 people. And from our Star Maker conference that we just completed, we've already had over 100 people sign up for next year. You go to my website, richardflint.com, look at the events section, click on it, and there is Star Maker 2020. I'm going to tell you, don't procrastinate. This is something you need. And I'd like for you to be there for our 30-year celebration. And it is going to be a celebration. Not just a time of learning, which will happen. Not just a time of sharing, because it's going to happen. But it's going to be a time of celebration. And then in 2020 and 2021, I'm going to be doing a series of small group retreats. And when I say small groups, I mean they're going to be limited to basically 15 people. And the ones I have right now on my drawing board are a small group marriage encounter group, where we're going to talk about tweaking your relationship. Every relationship needs to be tweaked. Why? Because every relationship can get out of sync. It's not going to be a time of in-depth marriage counseling, but it's going to be a time of learning how can we continue to improve our relationship. I believe that so many relationships start their own self-destruction when they lose sight of that special something that brought you together. So we're going to focus on tweaking your relationship. And then we're going to do a personal development retreat on decluttering your life. How do I learn to not create stacks? How do I learn to take the clutter out of my life? And then I want to do a retreat for people who want to sharpen their speaking skills. I've got 30 plus years of being on the platform. I think I'm very good at what I do. And I know there are people out there that have the skill, but they just don't know how to tweak. They don't know how to sharpen their speaker skills. So we're going to spend time talking about sharpening your presentation skills. And then I want to do a leadership retreat. And I want to talk about creating exceptional leaders. And we have got to take leadership to another dimension, folks. And then my personality retreat, which we're doing the first one, we're doing in September in Williamsburg, Virginia, but we've already sold that one out. But I do have a second one that we're working on right now for October 23 through 27. And if that would be of interest to you, and you know, every day people walk into your life. You see the person, but you experience the personality. And what we do in my personality retreat is we take the personality of 18 animals and compare them to the people that you have to work with or who share you in your life. And we show you techniques to be able to strengthen your relationship with that person. There are no difficult people, folks. They're only different personalities. And we still have some room in October. And I would challenge you, reach out to me at richardflint.com and let me talk to you about it. Let me show you what you will learn from this. richardflint.com. And then if you'll keep coming back to the website and check our website, we'll be sending information. As we get dates to each of these, we'll be sharing those dates with you. So our small group retreats. I'm excited about this. I like the idea of being able to work with 15 people in one setting. And it's not going to be me lecturing. It's going to be us learning together. All of us sharing and learning together. Our next webinar, Thursday, September the 12th at 10 a.m., same time. And we're going to talk about becoming efficient. We're going to talk about becoming efficiently effective with time because we're effectively efficient with the time that we have. So mark this on your calendar, the 12th, 10 a.m., Thursday. So my last thought. Organization is a behavior, which means it's a choice. If you choose to be disorganized, you get the path that puts roadblocks in your way. When you choose to be organized, you learn the power to completing and keep your life moving forward toward your success. This is your life. And you're going to do with it what you want to do. Now, I just want you to remember, disorganization is a thief. It's going to steal your stability, your time, your energy, your attitude, and your life. I'd love to hear from you about what you've taken away from today. Or if you have questions, send them to me at richard@richardflint.com. I answer every one of them personally. No one's going to answer them for you. I will answer them. And I'd love to hear from you. Because I know from the questions I get, some of you have questions, and sometimes in this format, we don't have time to let you ask the questions. So send them to me. Send me the points that you've taken away from this that will help you improve your organizational skills. Okay? If I don't see you before, I'll see you in September for our next webinar. And again, thank you very much for taking this time to join me for this. See you soon.